right now, social media is being flooded with, should I pay my rent or don't pay my rent? And you have two sides that are, one far this way says don't pay the rent, strike rent, don't pay any rent. And then you have another side that says pay your rent, especially with the stimulus check. Well, obviously there's in the middle. If you don't have the money, then it doesn't matter, you can't pay the rent. But for people that do have the money, they are deciding whether or not they should pay the rent. Well, there's two sides to the story, right? The first, let's cover the first base, right? The first one is if you live in a house compared to an apartment. If you live in Vegas and you're living in a single family home and it's under $400,000, it's best to negotiate. If you can't make the whole payment, is not to pay at all, but to contact the landlord and work out something with them, because most of the mom and pop people are going to work with you on the rent. So it's the best thing to do is, if you can't pay it all, is pay a portion of it and work out some kind of payment plan, because even though there's a 90-day no eviction, eventually you will get evicted. And the problem with the single family homes is there is a waiting list for most homes, especially homes in areas with school zones that are rated high, right? So if you get evicted from a single family home, it's going to be hard for you to find another single family home rental, because even in this market right now, it's still multiple offers trying to get in rentals, and there's still a shortage of single family homes. And when you have thousands of single family homes owned by corporations like hedge funds that are renting them out, they can actually keep that shortage going by not renting out homes if they evict people. So if you're in a single family home, you definitely want to negotiate with the owner, tell them what your situation is, and at least pay something so you can stay in there and not get evicted, because the repercussions of getting evicted from a single family home, it's a lot harder to get back in. Now, on an apartment, that's a different story. There's a ton of apartments. There's no shortage of apartments. So you have more leverage on an apartment not paying, especially if you got the whole apartment complex saying, hey, reduce our rent, negotiate with us, or we're not going to pay. That's a little stickier situation, because those corporations that own those apartments, when they have masses saying they're not going to pay their rent, then that's a problem. And if you do get evicted out of an apartment, there's so many, you could easily go down the street. In fact, I just got this flyer yesterday where this apartment complex right here in Henderson is offering us realtors $500 if we refer them to their apartment complex. I've never seen this in 20 years. So an apartment is talking to realtors and saying, hey, if you know someone needs an apartment, we'll give you $500. So if you're in an apartment, you have a little more leverage negotiating on the rent. If you're in a single family home, it's going to be a little harder, because there still is a shortage of those. So use your best judgment, but that's the fact. Single family home, very hard to get in as a rental. You don't want an eviction on your credit, so you definitely want to work out something with the landlord. And most landlords that are mom and pop are definitely going to work with you. I'd say 99% are going to work with you. So contact them, get that taken care of, and hopefully Vegas money train will be rolling back in another 3 to 6 months, and this won't even be an issue. Talk to you soon.